A little bit of a different episode today. We are in the international break, ahead on the horizon at the weekends, like 1 or 2 matches. There's nothing going on as far as like day-to-day matches go. So we are revisiting our MVP rankings from the midseason. We are re-ranking those. We're for the entire 2024 season. We're giving our top 5 collectively, a little bit different. Collectively, each one of the creators you see on your screen, which today we have Hector from Insert Name FC, we got Hitman Honda, and of course, Davi from the Blue Burrows pod. They all submitted their top 5s individually, along with 5, 6 other creators, 10 in total. My math might be horribly off. 10 in total creators submitted each their top 5. We aggregated everything together, put it into a nice spreadsheet, and spat out our collective top 5 for the MVP race. We'll see how it all pans out against the actual MVP race, but this is how we feel today about our top 5 individual players in MLS. All right, guys, it's going to be a good one, man. I was saying before the show, everybody's picks probably had the same top 3, maybe top 4, but there's at least one player per person, per creator that's got someone different. We all value players a little bit differently in regards to the performances this season. So let's get into it, man. Let's not waste any more time. I'm going to do a big reveal. I'll pull it up on the screen, and then we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
5 and 4 to me are going to be, I think, probably the biggest points of debate, but we'll see how it all pans out. All right, guys. Number 5 for Wake Up MLS, the LA lad, Riqui Puig. A lot of people didn't vote for Puig. I'll be honest. I think there's like 3 people that just very highly rated him. That's really kind of what this was today. Honda, where'd you have Riqui Puig?
I had him number 2.
Number 2. Why, bro? Why that high? Is that not aggressive? Am I the only one thinks that?
No, that is way too high.
I saw Hector's face. I was like, bro, I'm not the only one.
All right. But here's the thing, right? I rate him number 2 because every time I see him, either he's not off the pitch or he's not on the pitch, or he's on the pitch and he doesn't do well. The team doesn't do well at all whatsoever.
So when he's like gone, Galaxy drop off entirely. Is that what you're saying?
Almost entirely, pretty much. Games like, for example, Austin, Chicago Fire, whether he was on the pitch or not, dude, if he disappears, the team shuts down. And up against these smaller teams.
But if he disappears, can he be the MVP?
I mean, it could be the MVP for the reason of the other fact that when he's on the pitch, when he's doing well, you see a clear, different LA Galaxy. And that's what I pretty much rated most of these other players that I have. Because is the team affected by the player being on the pitch or not? That's pretty much what I based my list off of. But, yeah, other people, I mean, maybe he could have been lower on my list, but I put him number 2. Bias.
Yeah, let's see. Bias. I can reel them off really quick. Actually, there's actually more than a few. Sorry, it's like 4. So Hernan had him in there right in the middle at 3. Xiaoyan had him at this exact spot at 5. Hondam had him here at 2. Tom from MLS Aces had him at 5. And actually, no, Will had him at 4. So not terrible. About half the group, I had Riqui Puig somewhere in there. I personally didn't have him only because I don't know. I feel like Galaxy have gone through phases where there's been at times someone to help Puig carry the team a little bit, right? Peck kind of had his moment, his like 2 months stretch. When Royce got involved, you can see the value that he added. Hell, even Fagundes had like a month, bro, where he was like, scoring, hitting the frame, right? Right? But like, you know what I mean? Like he was relevant in that team. Puig is not a bad pick, but he's probably like 7 for me. I don't know if that's harsh.
I was on the fence. I was on the fence of putting him top 5.
You didn't, right?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I was on the fence though.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think it's not a bad pick. I mean, honestly, if he's top 5, and he's 5th, I'm really not even super mad at it, right? Hector, how do you feel about this one?
No, I mean, Riqui Puig is a good player. He's an impactful player for the LA Galaxy. I know people are going to look at Gabriel Peck. I mean, when you talk about goal contributions, he definitely has more than Riqui Puig. But then you got to talk about what his position essentially is. You're talking about a central midfielder. I'm not expecting him to wow me off the stat sheet more often than not, and it's what he does on the field, and it's his ability to move the ball across. And I mean, he's got weapons, and I think that's very clear. I think when it comes to LA Galaxy, I think he's definitely the MVP for LA Galaxy this season. He's a difference maker for that team. And with like you mentioned, the weapons that they have around LA Galaxy, I think they wouldn't be thriving if it wasn't for the fact that Riqui Puig is able to contribute them into the game.
Yeah. Is he their most important player by far?
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I don't think they could do
Absolutely.
what they
No
did
doubt.
this year if it wasn't for Puig.
All right. Fair enough. I mean, like, so if he was out for an extended period of time, I mean, where's Galaxy finish? Are they top 4?
I don't even think top 4. I think they would be fighting in the. It's still going in towards the playoffs, but I think.
But not a play-in spot, maybe.
Not a play-in spot.
Well, you think 5 to 7 range?
Yeah,
around there.
I mean, yeah.
So
it's
be
not
a road playoff team after the actually road playoff team.
Yeah, a team that just kind of has to kind of catch fire to really do something meaningful. Yeah, I can see it. It's not a crazy shot. I mean, let us know in the comments down below. I think it's Riqui Puig to me definitely impactful. Maybe I'm weighing the other talent around him too heavily. I'm not really sure, but again, keep us honest down below. All right, man, that's number 5. Not a bad pick. Wasn't personally one in my 5, but I could see why he would be in others. Number 4 is actually really interesting to me because he was very, very close to being in my top 5. And I think there's a lot of just recent hype around this man. Number 4 for MVP, Evander. I think Evander's a good shout if you're looking at the last 2 months alone. I know he had that little, stint in the beginning where he wasn't playing, but, I can't help but look at this Portland team and feel unimpressed at times. And the same goes for Evander. Pre-show, we were talking about the FC Dallas game. My team traveling up to Portland, terrible team on the road, 2 road wins. And it drew 0-0. No one stepped up on the Portland side. It felt very flat, very static. And I don't know. In those moments, MVPs across all sports, in my opinion, show up. And the reason it's super important, man, it's so important because if you look at the table is, I mean, Portland needed that dub. I mean, look at this. I'll share my screen really quick. This is insane. Portland needed this. They sit here at 46 points beneath Vancouver. Had they won, they would have overtaken Vancouver and just had that much more safety going into decision day. Now they sit on the very last play-in spot with technically Austin, there. And I don't think Austin threatens them at all. But now, if you have to play the play-in, you don't have the home field advantage unless something goes your way on the final day of the season. Like playing in Portland, I'm sure is where they want to be in that one play-in game, right? As opposed to being on the road where they've been kind of 50-50 at best. We've talked about it already. I won't talk in circles. But I don't know, man. Maybe I'm being too harsh. How do you guys feel about Evander being 4th, not about Portland being 9th?
I believe Evander, I had him at 4th. I think I had him in. Yeah, I did.
Yes.
I did. I had him.
Yeah, you did.
Spot on pick for me. No, I think obviously what he's able to do, he's definitely impactful for Portland's attack. Which I mean, we said countlessly on this show that Portland is great on the attacking side. It's just the defending that's a problem. And I mean, at the end of the day, you want your most valuable player to step up in those big moments. I think that's what you look for in an MVP. It's kind of that connection, right? Are you really the most valuable player, or are you just the best player? And I think that we have that in U.S. sports in general. Do we award the most valuable player award to the best player that year, or do we award it to the guy that is impactful for his team? And as much as I think he's done stellar for Portland, I think for me, why I have him at 4th is just that he's not as impactful as like the other guys I have above him.
I think Riqui Puig is more impactful than Evander.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like some guys, like again, we had Will from MLS Moves also do his. He had Evander in 3rd, like top 3 in the MVP race off of like 2.5 months of good form. I don't know. It's very, very difficult for me. Like again, Arango, Cucho was more impactful for Real Salt Lake than Evander was for Portland, in my opinion.
2 different positions, though. You got one that's a striker, right, who's expected to score the goals, and they will get the flashy moments. Evander, he's the one, again, kind of like a Riqui Puig, just distributing the ball, getting the players to where they need to be at those exact moments. And then, hey, he scores a banger every now and then, right? What more can you ask from a midfielder like him?
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. I'm just saying, I mean, like when you have to think about 23 total goal contributions for Chicho, and that's goals and assists, right? Like that's 7 off of the leader in that category. I think I think Chicho, again, if he goes out of the side, who do they replace him with? How are they going to, where does the impact really come from? Bro, Portland still has Anthony, who's arguably at times just as electric, just as much of a game changer. I don't know. I'm probably being nitpicky. Davi, how do you feel about this one, bro? At 4. Where did you have him, by the way?
I had him at 2.
That's fucking crazy.
I really like Evander. It might be bias, like what have you done for me recently, but I mean I really like Evander and how he plays. Just I just think he's really impactful for Portland, and he's really the main. I feel like he's the main guy in Portland to score the goals, and I feel like without him, like I don't think they make the playoffs without him. To be honest, that's just the way I see it. I don't, considering the defense,
29 goal contributions, man.
If Portland don't make playoffs, you keep him at 2?
No, actually, yeah, no, I don't think
this.
so.
They probably won't make playoffs just because Austin has been shit, and there's no way to bridge.
Well, they're already in playoffs.
Yeah,
Austin,
they're already in playoffs. Yeah. So what I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
is, if they lose the play-in game, is he still 2 for you?
Oof.
Probably not.
This, bro.
Probably not. I was thinking about other players, putting him in the top 5, but I was thinking about Acosta, but he kind of fell off recently, and I think the whole Cincinnati team, to be honest, has kind of fallen off. And since I'd say probably July and Leagues Cup, they haven't been the same. They haven't been the same team as they started, and it could all be biased, but I really like Evander and his profile of and his style of play. So
he said it could be straight agenda, but I'm sticking with my guns here. I like that, bro. Don't change.
I wanted to put Acosta in there, but I just felt like with the way like him and the whole team's been playing, I just couldn't put him in there. I just couldn't justify it.
All right, fair enough. I'll hear the argument, but I still think Lucho's been significantly more impactful for his bro. If Lucho for whatever reason was out, I have no idea where either the goals or the assists come from. He's literally the GA leader across the entire league. Like I have no idea where Cincy gets their offense from. Because outside of him, I think Orellano might be the next best contributor going forward as an outside back.
He's been shit recently. He's been.
But that's what I'm saying. Is their next best contributor. Like Lucho legitimately carries Cincinnati, at least offensively. They used to have a pretty stout defense before the 2 center backs got hurt. But I don't know. Comparing to me, Lucho's at least he's a level above Evander for me. Evander's is like what I think of when I hear people say recency bias is undefeated. Because it is, bro. It's like it's so hard to just like go back to the beginning of the season and remember how impactful some of these players were. But yeah, man, he's crazy rich vein of form. Maybe he finds a way to help Portland get that home game for the play-in game. But if they lose that either way, home or away, he will not escape the allegations, bro. All right, let's move on to number 3. Number 3 in our MVP list, Lucho. Speaking of Acosta, a few guys had him at 1, which I don't think is a crazy shout at all. I didn't have him at 1, but again, I have like a little bit of a hot take on mine.
I had him at 1.
I had him at 1.
Yeah, it's not a crazy shot, bro. He was my number 1 in the midseason rankings. So he's
if this was like the Leagues Cup break, I'd definitely have it number 1. But again,
it's falling off a little bit. But like,
yeah.
bro, they had to deal with some crazy injuries to start. Like anybody who loses their 2 starting center backs, I don't know how you're keeping goals out of the back of the net just based off chemistry and consistency. Like. I don't know how you're not conceding.
Just pray you have a player like Justin Hack who could just step in and just fucking do good.
You need two, bro. They lost Miazga and Haglund basically at the same time.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was thinking of Robinson. No, I think they probably lost him international break. I was probably thinking about
but he came back.
That we played.
Yeah, he came back. But there was a time, right? Your biggest signing in the offseason that wasn't there. Like they had to overcome a good amount of adversity.
So all 3 of their starting center backs have been hurt at some point this season, right?
Yeah, I give a benefit of the doubt because they've had a lot to overcome. But amidst all of that, Lucho Acosta has been the guy carrying this side, and statistically, coming off the back of an MVP season, is doing it again, arguably in a tougher scenario. I don't know, man. Three could be even low for Lucho if we think about it.
I don't know, but do you really think they're going to give a guy that won MVP last year again? Like, I don't think that's ever happened in this league, huh?
I don't think so. It's probably not going to be him because, again, there's never been a time in this league where, the
But I
greatest
mean,
player in history was here. So,
but kind of going off of what Jose said, I mean, he did come off of a very strong year with FC Cincinnati the year before, but then going in, you lose your star 9 in Brandon Vasquez. He's over in Mexico now, and you're still able to replicate your contribution to your team in what was many people hope was looking at as kind of a dip for Cincinnati because they weren't able to at least recoup from the loss of Brandon Vasquez, and still they are where they're at in the Eastern Conference. They're still in arguably a team that could compete with that team that's holding the Supporters Shield now to prevent them from getting to the MLS Cup. Like there's still no doubt in mind that Lucho Acosta is a high quality player and is impactful for his team. And I think when you put those scenarios in, like why not give it back to him? Because I mean, is there? And I'm sure we'll list some players also that are also capable to put their name up for it. But to follow up from a year that he was the odds-on favorite to win it, to go into a year with less attacking options and still be in the same position that he's in. I mean, that's MVP in all categories.
yeah, I agree. Like if I'm super serious, bro. If Inter Miami did not have the Barca boys, it would be a race, in my opinion, between this guy and Cucho. Like that, I mean, just through and through. I think the two best players in this league, in my opinion, outside of course, like Messi's the GOAT. But even then,
what about Denny?
That one's tough. That one's tough. I used to call Denny Bouanga overrated, and I still kind of do a little bit when you think about just truly how prolific he is and the volume of opportunities he gets in a lot of these games.
I feel like Daniel Bouanga has like that spark, right? Where like he'll turn up at any moment.
He has that special something. Yeah.
He's inconsistent.
He is the guy you look at.
Exactly.
He's the guy you look at like when you need something to happen.
Yeah. But he does have those games like Riqui Puig we talked about before that like he just doesn't show up. Like he ghosts for whatever reason. So, like the fact that Dallas could beat LAFC or whatever the case may be, it's probably last season, towards the end of the season, when LAFC needed to get on a good streak, 2-0. Like it just, and he missed, bro. He had so many opportunities. One of them super point blank, and just like he had an off day. But like I don't know, MVPs to me are pretty damn consistent. I think Lucho, you don't see him at those games very often. You just really don't. Like for the most part, even if his team isn't playing well, he's kind of the spark. So, and they're not in a good run of form right now. So I think right now Lucho gets slept on because Cincinnati's kind of in this funk.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's only so much a player could do as well too when your team is in a downwards funk, right? Like for example, look at Christian Benteke. How many goals does he have?
He's got like 22, 23.
Yeah. He's only 23. One of the 20s, I think.
23.
And the dude is still somehow maintaining them for a play-in position.
Because his team's ass, bro. I mean, like there's no other way around it. Exactly. Cincinnati's not as bad as DC, but like he does still have to carry. I would say without him, a pretty toothless attack. Like collectively under Noonan, Cincinnati's a good team as a team, but it just feels like you kind of go into matches maybe thinking like, where are these goals really going to come from? Especially when you lose a guy to all that off-field bullshit and Bopenza, like who was supposed to kind of take over up top. I don't know. It's just they brought back what's his name from St. Louis, Joaquini, or how do you say his name? I can't remember. I don't even know how you pronounce it. Joaquini, that's how you say it. Because he was I think on loan right from Como, but like even then, still doesn't add too much of a spark. So I think Lucho deserves to get his flowers. He's kind of slept on here. Let's look and see who picked who where though. I had Lucho, believe it or not. Sounds kind of low actually now that I think about it. I actually had him at 3. That's crazy. I had him at 3, yeah. John had him in 5th. Lucho in 5th. It's kind of wild. He had him the lowest.
Probably the recency bias. That's why.
Tom had him in third, and Mo from Musa from Mo Football had him in fourth. So, but heck, we actually had a fair amount of shouts for him to be the first one. So, yeah, man, we'll see. Lucho gets some love. If you guys agree, let us know in the comments down below, man. I think Lucho's kind of getting slept on here, even by me. I mean, earlier when I did this fucking list, I guess I didn't think about Lucho all that much. But yeah, he made third for me. So, all right, man. Number two, let's get to it. Who do you guys think it is? Just kind of curious. There's a few players to play here.
I'm guessing where's number 10?
Maybe.
Messi.
Maybe.
Barca boy.
Think of all the players who could be in contention, bro.
Cucho.
Okay, number two. Here we go. Number two. Kind of a shock to me, actually. It is Leo. It is the GOAT at number 2.
Blasphemy. No,
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure all the GOAT stands out there are going to be upset at this one, bro. And it's not even hate. It's not random hate. The guy missed 2/3 of the fucking season. And yes, his stats are unreal. But I talked to Hector about this before, even like Honda and Davi, got into the pre-show conversation.
What a shit grin for the photo, by the way.
I know. Yeah, it looks it's kind of cheeky, right? I was like, yeah, I like that. I like that picture, bro. I like that picture.
Messi autism.
Okay.
Oh,
Jesus.
All right. So we're also the dog,
Moving
the dog
on.
in
All
the
right,
burning
moving
house
on.
meme right now.
Yeah.
This is fine.
This is fine. But yeah, bro. So I feel like the only thing that works against Messi in a big way is Inter Miami kept winning. When he got hurt, we went to Copa America, then he got hurt in the final and was out for quite some time. That 2-month stretch, they kept winning. And the guy who was really carrying them was El Pistolero. He was bagging goals left and right and got Inter Miami, in my opinion, to work to in a position to win the Supporter Shield. Like Messi helped at the end for sure. I just don't get why he gets his MVP shouts. He was.
I mean, it's because it's Messi. He's got the name behind it. It's Messi.
He was number 4 for me.
Yeah, me too.
Not on my list.
I have that number 2.
Honda said, not anywhere. Yeah, but you did say before, right? Like you were trying to go with anything like that was super. Honda was trying to be the hipster of the show today. That's what he was trying to do, bro.
I was trying to be that dude from Austin FC. That's why.
Yeah, fair enough.
The reason why I left Messi out was, again, like I said, the lack of games that he has, and the fact that like Inter Miami, they didn't really need him necessarily to be where they're at right now. Yeah. They would have been in the same position if he was out the whole season.
I just feel like all the Messi stands are about to come out when you just said
Messi stands. Come towards me. Come on now.
So Will from MLS Moves had Messi winning it all. AJ from Hotlanta had Messi winning it all, and our favorite Hernan from We Are Austin TV had Messi winning it all. So look,
so man, he's not going to win it. So he's probably not going to win it.
So yeah, like look, I get why some people are just like, dude, look how impressive it is. Like per 90, the guy has been unreal, and I agree with that. I'm not taking that away, but it's like there's an argument to say that he may not even be the most valuable player on his team from my perspective, because I think when the chips are down, your most valuable player steps up and carries you through, and that wasn't Messi. So just off of circumstances. So yeah, man, I don't know if you wholly disagree, which I'm sure some of you do. Fuck it, rant out loud in the comments down below, bro. Like I'm gonna stand by what I said with Chess. Like Messi had a good season considering all things overall, but he was much more effective for Argentina. Let's be real. All right, man. We all know what's coming. We all know who it is. And honestly, bro, he was my number 1. So I'm glad you guys had some fucking wits about you, and people didn't drop him to 2, 3, or anything else, because I think this guy deserves it, bro. He got punished by Wilfred Nancy and still came back and shit on the league. Like, it's kind of crazy, bro, if you really think about it. Going down to Monterrey, getting dubs. Like, I don't know, man. Cucho Hernandez to me is like, is he the best player in MLS?
I think so.
I think so too, actually, bro. I think it's clear. It's amazing he's not in Europe.
Well, I mean, this guy did the ultimate bet on myself move. Obviously I believe he was somewhere in England.
Watford.
Yeah.
Okay. Somewhere in England. And, maybe there wasn't that much hype around him when he was playing at Watford, and decides to bet on himself, come to Columbus, and I mean by literally the first match that this guy played on took the whole MLS by storm. That and it was insane, not only because of one, he was betting on himself that he could make something of himself wherever he plays, but two, to have a player that young choose the MLS was insane for everyone, and I think he has lived up to the billing. I don't think there's a single season where I feel like this guy hasn't been him. And I mean, I had him fifth. I'll be honest, had him fifth in my list, but
damn, bro, that's
still my top.
Read your list off. Read your list off.
I don't want to. Okay. Well, I had Cucho at fifth, Evander at fourth, Denny Bouanga at third, Messi, and then Lucho Acosta.
What are we doing? Oh man,
it's called having an opinion.
Jose's like, well, your opinion
democracy.
Is wrong.
Your opinion is wrong, bro. Bro, I just to put Evander over Cucho is like sacrilegious, man. I almost threw up a little bit on here.
You guys want to know something that's crazy?
What?
I almost put Evander at 1.
Oh my god. Okay,
bro, leave. Get the I'm just
Hey,
no, I'm kidding. There's no way, bro. 2 months is not the season. 2 months is not the season. You know what I mean? Like,
but it also can be.
It can be. It's just not, though. It's just not. Like, I don't know. That's why I'm saying MVP. And he's in fucking 9th. Like, what does that say about MLS if we're giving the best player on the 9th place team the MVP? Like, isn't that weird? That they're barely making it into playoffs.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But yeah, to at least like not there's no way I could defend myself. But I think also for me, in my opinion, it's just I value more what Wilfried Nancy's able to do with what he has on that team. And I mean his team is still pretty solid and very much loaded. So I mean, did I overshadow Cucho? Probably did, because I mean, gotta give the guy his flowers. He is when it comes down to it, you're looking at Cucho. And I mean, he proved it in Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
So the guy is very much, the stage isn't too big for him. And we've seen it. We've seen it not only in Leagues Cup, but we've seen it in the MLS Cup before. But also to me, I think maybe to my fault, I credit Wilfried Nancy a lot more than I do to Cucho. And then maybe you can even make that argument about when he was suspended from Columbus and they were, still kind of running the course, if you will, with Wilfried Nancy's tactics. So, I mean, maybe that's where I was going for it. I mean, now that I think about it, it was super disrespectful for me to put Cucho where he is. But no regrets. I don't regret anything.
No regrets. Yeah, fair enough, bro. I think no matter what, he landed here. Doesn't matter how he got here. He landed at number 1, and that was the most important thing. I'll be shocked if he doesn't win the actual MLS MVP. So I think he ultimately deserves. I think Columbus might actually repeat this season. I don't care what Miami's doing right now. I think he kind of feels like an X factor in the way that Messi feels like an X factor for Miami, and then you're kind of just betting on one versus the other. So
I mean, if they win the league again, of course, Cucho,
it's gonna be crazy, bro. It's
Definitely
gonna be crazy.
Like,
yeah,
there's no.
I agree. Well, look, man, we got a really quick surprise guest because I want to talk about it before we conclude the episode. Ednan's back in, lads. He's back in. We're going to talk really quickly about Austin. Before we do, though, Ednan, reveal your list, bro. We just talked about our collective number 1, Cucho being up there. Reel it off for us so we know.
All right. Well, gentlemen, it's nice to see everybody. I know last time I was on Golds, I was down bad, extremely down bad. And Honda was trying to pick me up. He was like, hey, man, don't feel bad. It's all cool. Shout out to my boy Honda.
Too nice.
Great guy, Honda. But
unless
it's
Philadelphia.
Unless it's Philadelphia. True
That's
that.
true. That's true.
Yeah, because fuck
him. Happy to be back on Golds. Some great news from Austin FC. But my list, here it is, Jose. Number 1, because I want to get at least one right. And if you're a fan of footy, you know who number 1 is gonna be and who it has to be.
It's
Mr.
Messi,
Mr. PR himself, Lionel Messi. That's my number 1.
That's crazy calling him PR, but that's
Mr. PR, Lionel Messi. Number 2, Cucho.
Is he really
I
PR
think
though?
he. Number 2, Cucho. Number 3, Riqui Puig. Maybe
That's
a bit of a
wild.
hot take. Maybe a bit of a hot take. Riqui Puig,
wild.
number 3. Number 4, Benteke. I like what he's done this season.
Yeah.
And number 5, Evander. I had to put him in there somewhere. I think 5's good for him.
None of those are super crazy shouts. None of those are super crazy. Well, Riqui Puig is kind of a hot take, but outside of that, that's actually a pretty realistic top 5. So I like that. All right, man. Well, look, I know we got you for a few minutes, bro. I know you're a busy guy. We're gonna respect your time. Let's talk about it, lads. It's a big news this week. We really can't get around it. I can't imagine what the fan base is actually saying right now if you kind of lock in just to the news and what's going on. But Ednan, talk to us, bro. Mr. Wolf is officially out. How do you feel?
Man, I feel great. I feel great, and I don't mean to be harsh towards the Wolf coaching staff or the people that were very Wolf in. I mean, there were some good moments that were lived under the Josh Wolf era. You know, you had a good 2022 season. The second half of the season wasn't that great, and it's not talked about enough. But the fact that you got to the Western Conference Finals, that kind of shadows everything else that happened that season. 2023 was a mess. 2024 expectations were just simply not met. And Rodolfo Borrell, the sporting director, he comes out in the press conference addressing the media saying, hey, you know, we were just waiting until we were mathematically out of it until we pulled the trigger on firing this guy. He also comes out and he says that there's 25 managers worldwide that have been offering themselves to coach Austin FC. Do you believe it? Do you not believe it? He says names you would not believe. So that's something very
Woo!
interesting there.
I have a question. I have a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is Dominic Torrent within those 25?
So you would think that Dominic Torrent is within those 25 because of the links with the City Group, with Manchester City, with Rodo Borrell. Hercules Gomez from Football Americas, he tweeted something out saying that, you know, it's kind of like a no-brainer to have him on the radar at least. Now, he is currently busy right now. He's employed by San Luis and Liga MX, and they're doing pretty good. They're in fifth place. San Luis is not a team that you would have in the top 4, top 5 consistently in Liga MX if you were a betting man. So the fact that he has him in that position is pretty good. It's pretty good. So they're in playoff spot. I think he has to be in those 25.
Yeah, fair point. Man,
If I'm being honest, he was probably NYCFC's best manager when it comes to tactics and everything like that because he came from Pep and he was his right-hand man for like a good decade. And me personally, the bias aside, I think without Matsurita making that stupid tackle in the box against Toronto, I think we probably win the cup in 2019 with Dominic Torrent.
fair.
Damn.
I think yeah. So 25 is a lot of names. How many of those would you guess, Adnan, are MLS names or MLS being maybe like the primary experience within the CVs?
I mean, it's hard to say an exact number, but you would have to say a few of them, right? Because you have to remember this is an Austin FC side that, you know, recent news just came out that ownership is looking for a minority sell, you know, to pay off debts and to pay off growth projects. So this is a team that is not, you know, in a super bad position financially, but I'm sure they're not, it's not raining money over here in Austin right now. They're in a bit of a pinch. So you wouldn't think that this club is going to throw millions of dollars salary wise to a top name manager. So I mean, maybe there's 1 or 2 or 3 guys that you would think like, okay, they're going to be making at least 1 to 2 million, maybe $3 million a year. They're that kind of name. But for sure, there's going to be some average, and I hate to say average, but some MLS coaches in there that have done good jobs, like Savarese, you know, some names like that could be possibly candidates for Austin FC. I mean, and if we're being dead honest, I mean, you had Josh Wolf for 4 years. There's a lot of coaches in this league that are probably technically upgrades from what you had under Josh Wolf. But if you ask the fans, they're over the moon. They want somebody with experience. They want somebody with MLS experience, bare minimum, European coaching experience as well. So I mean, if it's really 25 names, I mean, I'm sure some of them are MLS coaches, maybe like less than 10.
Can we offer you Nick Cushing?
Maybe the Alex Ring connection. You never know.
Maybe he might be out the club. But one of the interesting topics with this news, guys, is how many players are affected by the decision of Josh Wolf being let go. Because you have Alex Ring, who's on the fence of leaving or maybe staying. Sebastian Drusi, there was rumors about him, but Roldo Borrell comes out and kind of just shuts them all down. Danny Pereira is a very young, talented player that's also on the fence. Is he going to go international? Is he going to stay with Austin maybe one or two more seasons? There's for sure 5 or 6 players in that locker room that this decision is definitely like, am I going to be patient and maybe try to earn my minutes with this club, or has my cycle ended and I'm ready to move forward from whatever my time at Austin FC was? Because there's a lot of frustrated players in Austin that maybe just didn't have the best time with Wolf, but they had to tolerate it because he was the manager and his system. It was his system or the highway, and we saw that a lot.
What about players that were outed while Wolf was there? Like I mean, we all saw the picture, right? I'll share it now. You know, with Urruti and Rigoni, and I think you think about their time, especially towards the end, right? Rigoni, to me, not that he is like a fantastic player, he just never really had a fair shake to like do something to create impact. I think when the conference starts off low, the player that came to the club is somewhat gone. Like you really need a lot to get them back to a place where they're thinking positive again. Look how long it's taking even some of these top players abroad to fit into their new clubs. Clubs spending crazy amounts of transfer fees on these players, and it takes them such a long time to get acclimated. I feel like Rigoni didn't really have a long leash before fans were on his ass, and before he got to a point where I feel like him and Wolf maybe just no longer saw eye to eye.
I think the label of DP mate was maybe just too much pressure for him, and fans were probably too harsh to go after him because he was simply a designated player in this league. But I mean, you guys know this league. Being a designated player in MLS comes with that kind of pressure. You're supposed to be that guy. You're supposed to be banging in 10 to 15 goals, or at least having that in goal contributions. Because if you're not doing that, then what is the TAM level guy going to do it? Is the guys that aren't even labeled as anything going to do it, or what is the supplemental spot guys going to do it? No, you're the designated player. You're the one that has to be bringing up these numbers. And Emmy, the numbers just weren't there for him. Now, you could say, hey, it was the system under Josh Wolf. You can go back and say that or whatnot. But, I mean, he only had like 6 or 7 goals to his name for his time in Austin FC. And just as a designated player, he is just not good enough. And as for Maxi, this is a club, Austin FC, that has never truly had a great number 9 for a consistent amount of time. And to Maxi's credit, I mean, there was moments where he was really good for the club. He was always pressing, trying to win the ball back in the final third, but he never broke double-digit goals for Austin FC. So he can't be making these posts acting like he was Wayne Rooney for Manchester United for Austin FC. You know what I'm saying? He also has to look in front of the mirror and saying, man, the most goals I scored for this club was 9. I can't be making fun of this team like that. But he's going to have a laugh. He's going to have a dig. At the end of the day, both of these guys were let go by Josh Wolf. And, hey, they're having a bit of a laugh.
It's just kind of wild, bro. But yeah, it just shows you, I guess, how far this really went, the whole Wolf saga. And now the rebuild begins. I don't know. It's 25 candidates to really sift through. Realistically, is a hell of a search. That's a hell of a search for Borrell in the front office to go after. Before we let you go, who's the one guy you hope they get?
Man, I mean, his name was kind of mentioned earlier, Dominic Torrent. I've been talking about him for, I wouldn't say for years, but just a couple months, because it's been writing on the wall that Josh Wolf was going to be let go either this season or at the end of next year. He had one more year left on his contract, so Austin technically owes him that final year. But Dominic Torrent is somebody that definitely is on my personal radar. Another New York City FC guy. The gentleman that made that team champion, Ronnie, how do you say his last name?
Ronnie Dyla.
Ronnie Dyla. Thank you, brother.
The Norwegian Klopp, they call him.
There you go. The guy that takes his pants off, right? He took his
pants
off.
Oh, yeah. The sexiest manager in MLS history.
Interesting. All right, fair enough. I don't know about this Dyla, but I'll buy in. I'm
on the radar.
Dude, now, I mean, Dome's such a good coach. Like, if you guys get him, like, you guys are gonna. It might take some time. It took him some time in New York to do that, and unfortunately, Claudio Reyna, the cunt we all know he is now, put a shitload of pressure on him, and sent CFG spies to like training camps when he was here. So,
but how many players? Yeah. Do you remember how many players? Like the first thing that goes to my mind is like whoever it's going to be is going to have to absolutely like overhaul the talent, right? So in some form or fashion, players will have to exit, and he'll have to bring his players in.
You guys been asking me questions. I want to ask the board something. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
How attractive is the Austin job when we're talking MLS teams? Is it an attractive job? Is it a destination? Because some folks are saying 25 is cap. They're saying there's no way 25 managers are throwing themselves at Austin FC. But I want to ask you guys,
I
is
think
Austin
home
FC
fans
an
are
attractive
factoring
job?
results in too much. If you were a foreign manager, just looking at this as purely an opportunity, right? The fan base, the city, culturally, what it means to the city, the populace in general, right? Yeah, like there's a lot that's attractive about Austin, just purely based on numbers and the facts. But when you think about again the other side of that coin, it's the overhaul. Every coach, no matter what, will have to come in, no matter who it is, and get rid of some of the talent that just doesn't either fit the system or he frankly just doesn't want to coach, and get the players in that he has a little more trust with. Maybe there's a relationship there. Maybe he just values them a little bit more. But that's the only way this works. Like I don't think any manager comes in and inherits Wolf squad and should be expected to win. I think there's still some roster construction that needs to happen.
I think there's actually 9 players, Jose, that are on contract options. See if the club's going to pick them up or not. So that it's going to be a huge overhaul, just like you said.
Yeah,
but I mean,
there will be, but it's an attractive job, bro. I think personally, I don't know how some of the guys feel, but like living in Texas, and I'm sure Hector can agree at least a little bit. I mean, there's a certain amount of just attraction in general towards Austin, and then when you think about how quickly the fan base is gathered around the team as an expansion side, there's a lot of positives to it, so I can see it.
Okay, all right, that's cool. That's a good answer. Anybody else?
I think so. If you get complete, I mean, if Dome, like he's gonna get complete control over his squad. I mean, he had it in New York. Unfortunately, you know, he didn't have a good relationship with Reyna at the time, so he made up his decision early on in 2019 that he was going to leave. But I think
Do you
if
think
you
he has to
guys,
have that? Would he have to have that to take this job, or is the job itself attractive enough?
I think so because he had like a list of like multiple strikers that he wanted to get, and Aber was was like the 8th or 9th choice on his list, and he was like persistent on Claudio Reyna's like door. He's like, hey, can you get me this player? Can you get me that player? Can you get me this player? Because David Villa just left. Like in this timeline, David Villa had just left, and we needed a striker to get him. And we got Aber. He was like the 8th or 9th choice, so he's gonna want full control, or like, and the players he wants. This guy hated Jesus Medina, who was the DP at the time. He damn near completely like froze him out of the squad. And Ronnie Dyla came in the following season and kind of resurrected Jesus Medina, no pun intended there, but he kind of like got his career back on track. So
Dude, Dobby's on a grand slam this episode, bro.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
This is fine. This is fine.
So if you're gonna get Dome, get ready for like a lot of changes, like a radical change in like the system and the players he wants to use.
And things might slightly get worse before they get better. I just think that like that's all part of change. Like whoever it is needs to be given like a few seasons to like ride this thing out. Because
the first few seasons, bro.
You want to get back to the Western Conference Final? Yes, a few seasons, bro. This is where your fan base is right now. You guys were hyped off of a month and a half to 2 month stretch of getting by in some of these games where you probably should have lost. And that's really it. You haven't improved that much, even with the signings that you made from last season. Who knows how many players are going to be left? Like realistically, at least, bro, like 2026 is probably like.
I need the Ben Olsen effect, mate.
Bro,
Ben Olsen, Benny Ball, Benny Ball. That's
crazy.
That was
crazy.
That was just like somehow lightning just struck. That was not one of those like. I mean, because Dynamo were going straight into a rebuild. It was straight rebuild. You don't bring in all the players that they brought in, to the point where they may or may not, can't confirm, that there was locker room space in that locker room. So I mean, like, they didn't know what was going on. It was literally the definition of just throwing shit on the wall and see what sticks. And apparently they all stuck. And so it's because
the signings were random, bro. Like you actually think about Houston signings, like it felt outside looking in, it felt like this is an interesting team they're piecing together. I can't really see it yet, but
yeah, I think
Olsen too. Actually,
I think Olsen. I think what the interesting was a guy that took a break from football and you know focused on his art and being a vegan.
That's
and
crazy. Art,
and
I like that.
took the break, and then Pat brings him in after the whole Paulo. God, I want to pretend that didn't happen. But Paulo Nagamura, that was a thing.
I remember.
But and then of course, you know, you bring in guys that have MLS experience, MLS winning experience. You know, you bring in Arthur, you bring in Franco Escobar. But I mean, and I think that's what's going to be kind of interesting to see what Austin does in this offseason. What are the MLS savvy players that you bring in? What are those
Get Pogba.
The unique random player out of nowhere that count like a Bossy, like those things that like what Austin does. And I think that because there's multitude of things that you could do with Austin FC, I think one, you do have a supportive fan base, and I think that's a good thing that you can take from Austin. And I think we'll get a better idea of it, especially you know this weekend with the U.S. men's national team plays, of how strong that fan base is. So I think any manager that sees that kind of commitment to the soccer culture in that town that's gonna be enticing. But I think also the opportunity where I can build this team how I envision it with the backing of whoever's my sporting director or general manager or whatever the hell titles everyone comes up with. Everyone has their own different titles. Yeah. But I think that's what makes it enticing for any manager. Now, I'm not gonna lie, man. We have 25 managers lining up from across the world. It sounds like something Donnie T would say in a rally.
That's good PR. That's good PR. I like that. That's good.
It is good PR.
Well, look, man. Look, thanks again for stopping in, bro. We appreciate it, man. Look, as things develop, next time you're on Wake Up MLS, we're gonna talk a little bit about it, see how the search is coming along. But a lot of eyes. And look, at least count your blessings now, right? No Greg, Triple G, up to Chicago, not to Austin. So, we're already starting off on a good foot. But all right, man. Hey, I appreciate it, bro.
Later, guys. Appreciate it.
See you, man.
Ciao.
See ya.
All right, man. Honda, give me your list before we go really quick. We'll wrap this episode up. I'll give you mine too, actually.
All right. Number 5 was Benteke, but I did put a note if DC makes the playoffs. 4, Evander. 3, Cucho.
It's a crazy note, bro. It's a crazy note.
And 1, Luciano Acosta.
That's a crazy note, though, bro, because he's only one with 20 plus goals. He's got 23. Yeah. I don't know. That's a lot of goals to score. I had him at 5 no matter what. So I had from 5 to 1, I had Benteke at 5, Messi at 4th, Lucho at 3, 2 was El Pistolero, Luis Suarez. He was my number 2, bro. I think he carried Miami. And then number 1, Cucho. It felt bad leaving guys like honorable mentions, by the way. The 4 honorable mentions we had were Denny Bwanga. He's the next one in line. The Luis Suarez disrespect is crazy, like super crazy. But he was right underneath him. They were tied technically. Benteke after that, and Arango at the very bottom. So, yeah, man, Arango fell off hard, bro. Wasn't he like our MVP collective number 1 in the last one?
It's because we also like we're dogs, and unfortunately
they got neutered. Yeah, it's tough, bro. It is what it is, man. All right, well, look, we'll conclude the episode there. That is our top 5 for the 2024 MLS season. We'll see how accurate we are when the actual MVP trophy is awarded. But look, if you enjoyed this episode, if you're brand new to the channel, anything in between, do me a favor, like the video down below, subscribe to the channel. Next episode, ahead of Decision Day, going to make some predictions for how we think playoffs are going to go. Big final match ahead for the regular season. And then we got playing games, playoffs after that. A lot coming up on this channel. Don't miss out. From everybody here at Wake Up MLS, my name's Jose. That's Hector. That's Davi. That's Honda. We'll catch you guys next time.